Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Proline. We are into the NFL preseason. It got underway last weekend with the Hall of Fame game, and that means everybody's in action this weekend. Lots of stuff to talk about. Jeff Saad from Las Vegas Sports Services is with me. Chip Chirimbes, the big game hunter in the A-Play. And I am Dave Cokin. We are glad to be with you, and going to look at one of the matchups in Week 1, try and scope out a winner on that game, get some good information, and some other cool stuff as well. Don't forget to check out the college show that'll be up. First up, let's start with the ads and let people know exactly what we've got going on. And, Chip, let's start it with you.
All right, thanks, Dave. Listen, Megabucks, you know how they run, Dave. My single strongest play each and every day. You're going to get 2 weeks of Megabucks for only $10 in both the NFL and Major League Baseball. These games, you know, Dave, sell for well over $100, $150 a piece. $10 for the entire 2 weeks of Major League Baseball and NFL action. And it's a deal you don't want to, you might as well take advantage now because you know, Dave, during the preseason, we get some great information. We know who's trying and who's not trying. So let's jump on these winners early. Let's cash in early at 866-841-1665, 866-841-1665. Give me a call. You'll be glad you did. 2 weeks for only $10. You can't beat this. Big time winners from the big game player.
I'm having a very enjoyable summer. It's been a good baseball season. It's been particularly good over the past couple of months. The free play line's done well. The NFL preseason, though, that's a different animal for me. I love the NFL preseason because it's the only time of the year where you're literally going to get the game plan from coaches in some games, and you get their rotations and things like that. There is an advantage for the player if you wait for the right information and play those games. Now, there are games with there's no discernible information, and you just stay away from them because then they're really not handicappable games. But if you can find those strong spots and show some discipline, you can make a lot of money in the NFL preseason. I've got 3 games this week that I think are going to get the money. Definitely have an edge going into these 3 contests, and I'm going to guarantee a perfect 3-0. You got to win them all. The rest of my action plays for the NFL preseason will be free, and that'll include my NFL preseason game of the year, which is not this week. The cost is $20 to get all 3 guaranteed winners. All you got to do is make one phone call, 1-866-896-1629. That's 1-866-896-1629. Make the call right now and get yourself lined up for a perfect 3-0. Jeff Saad, Las Vegas Sports Services, roughly 2 out of 3 in the win column last year throughout the preseason, which is, you know, if it's just 2 wins and 1 loss, you don't make a whole lot. But when that's spread out over 30 games, now you're talking about some serious profits, Jeff. You ready to do it again?
Yeah, my NFL preseason record last year was 19-10, 66%. I'm going to do it again this year. I'm already 1-0. I won with the Saints on Sunday night. So I'm going to give you 4 weeks of the preseason, the entire pro season, for $25. And you sign up today, I'm going to give you the rest of August baseball. Also, just thrown in, the grand total of $25, NFL preseason plus the rest of August baseball. Just call LVSS at 1-866-575-8916, 1-866-575-8916.
Okay, we are going to do a bunch of stuff here, and we're going to start it off with our Twitter question of the week. You can follow us. You can follow us all at Jim Feist at Twitter. You can follow me at Dave Cokin. And follow Jim Feist Sports at Jim Feist Sports. If we use your question on the show, we put you in a drawing to win $100 worth of plays from any handicapper of your choice. And we got a question from Fran Klein from the Big Apple. Any assistant coaching changes that might influence an NFL team style? That's a great question because everybody looks at head coaches, but a lot of times the assistant coaching hires get completely overlooked, and they can have a real impact on the direction of a team. So let's look at a few of them around the league this year. May as well start with the green slime, Chip. By the way, it's been an entertaining preseason for your least favorite team. Having fights every day.
Well, I just returned from New York. I was there the last 2 weeks, and every day, of course, in New York, everything is magnified with papers, and the Jets are getting all the headlines. The Giants are getting very little ink, and the Giants are coming off being the Super Bowl champs. Like you said, a little skirmish on the sideline, which is really nothing in preseason. It happens all the time. People lose tempers, and it's big news. Boomer Esiason came on the air 2 days ago and said that the Jets should just outright cut Tim Tebow. Just release him. Don't even think about it, because he's such a distraction to the media and the players and everything else. And Tebow and the way he handles just about everything. He says, Mr. Esiason is a great player, MVP, and, I'm only going to have to prove him wrong like I proved all my high school critics and all my college critics. So the beat goes on with Tim Tebow, but, this is a spot where there's been a coaching change in the offensive coordinator who they got from Miami, which is a joke, because Miami had I was down here for 3 years, had one of the worst offenses in the NFL. They get 18 first downs and had 2 field goal attempts. They just don't look to put the ball in the end zone. And now you have a quarterback situation where Sanchez just hasn't performed. Last year was really an abomination for him. He's under pressure now because of Tebow coming in. And they're saying that maybe they're going to go to the Wildcat when they're inside the 10-yard line, and they're going crazy every time because when they set this up in practice, Rex Ryan actually said Tebow is live. You can hit him if you want, which is unheard of as far as a quarterback in preseason football. They scored 3 touchdowns and 4 attempts from the 10-yard line, and the time they didn't score, the running back fumbled the ball. But I don't know how much action Tebow's going to see. We've heard him being an H-back. We've heard him working on special teams. But getting this offensive coordinator for the Dolphins, whose philosophy is get 10, 12 first downs and then kick a field goal, never looking to put the ball in the end zone, I'm really wondering what's going to happen to the Jets. I think that they've actually taken a step backwards, and their trip to the Super Bowl, which Rex Ryan promised 3 years ago, I don't see it happening this year either, Dave.
I'm going to look at the Falcons. And I really like what they did here. Mike Mularkey is actually got a head coaching job now. Not like their offense really tore it up last year. And Dirk Cutter's been brought in. I like this change for the Falcons. It's interesting. Sometimes the preseason is a barometer for what happens in the regular season. And we saw the Falcons do very little in preseason last year on offense. Well, they didn't do much in the big games with their offense either. It never really took off. They got 2 touchdowns in the game with Green Bay. They got destroyed by New Orleans. And obviously, they had defensive issues in those games, but the offense didn't do a whole lot. And then the disaster in the playoffs against the Giants. They got nothing, 0. They got 2 points in the game on a safety. So that was, we got to open things up, and that's what they're going to do. This team is going to throw the football more. I think they're going to be a team that you'll get your money's worth if you bet overs on them. And my guess, and of course we'll wait for the rotations to come out and what other information can be gleaned as well, but I think you're going to see them do things a little more wide open in the preseason as well, because they need to get this offense clicking, and Cutter's going to put a lot of new wrinkles in. I do like this move by the Falcons. We'll see how it pays off. Jeff, about the Cowboys, a name from the past has resurfaced. Bill Callahan is back with Dallas. What do you think about that?
Well, he can do he's there for 2 reasons, offensive coordinator and also to help out with the offensive line and game management, those 2 things. And those are 2 things that the Cowboys really needed. Of course, Callahan coached the Raiders when they went to the Super Bowl in 2002. The last 4 years he's been an assistant with the Jets. His main job would be to put together a patchwork offensive line. I talked about this in last week's show. The Cowboys really have problems there. They have many injuries. They're trying to mix and match. The 2 free agents they picked up, Mackenzie Bernardo and Nate Livingston, now are injured. So Callahan really has his work cut out for him in trying to put together this offensive line in time. And as I said last week, there's going to be a big problem here with cohesion. Also, last year we know Jason Garrett had plenty of trouble with game management. You remember the game where he iced his own kicker, and they also blew a few other games in the last minutes. That's another thing Callahan will work out with. So the 2 major things they needed help with, I think they got it here with Bill Callahan.
Chip, Rutgers was such a bad program, and Greg Schiano took it over.
Right.
He really made them respectable. He's a guy who people have a tremendous amount of respect for. He's got a big challenge on his hands in Tampa. They come into the new season with a 10-game losing streak. So no wonder they made a coaching change. They kind of quit last year on their coach. I think this might work out pretty well. And Mike Sullivan's a well-regarded offensive coordinator. That's his new hire to run that part of the team.
Well, the Buccaneers, they did cover one of those last 10, Dave. They did lose 10 in a row, but they covered once. So that's something to be looking at. They were terrible, and you're right about this team quitting. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers said they were embarrassed when they annihilated Tampa Bay and in San Francisco last year, and they said they were embarrassed at the Tampa Bay's effort, and the 49ers are actually yelling at the players on the Buccaneers to come on, pick it up, suck it up, play some football because of their effort. They've made some big changes in the offensive and defensive line. They've added some people, and that's going to be the biggest improvement, which is much needed by this team. 2 years ago, they surprised everybody. They came up with a lot of late wins, and Josh Friedman and a few other players excelled. They got that great running back. I mean, he's not one of my favorite people, but Garrett LeBlanc certainly showed that he's an NFL quality back, and single-handedly kept them in the game against the only game they did cover, the last 10 against the Green Bay Packers. A tremendous effort. I think they're going to be much improved. I mean, Dave, you have to be improved when you lose your last 10 games of the year. New, fresh blood in there, and of course, I understand from what I've heard so far about what's going on in training camp right now, that everyone's got a new, fresh attitude and expect great effort out of Tampa Bay. I'll be seeing them play Friday night against the Dolphins down here, and that's going to be an interesting situation when Miami and Tampa Bay go at it.
Well, even teams that are tremendously, successful make changes, and Pittsburgh is one of those teams. Year after year, the Steelers are right there battling for playoff honors, maybe for a Super Bowl. The defense is outstanding, even though they were just horrible, and I don't know what LeBeau was thinking of with that zone blitz scheme against Denver in the playoffs, but I don't think they've got to worry about defense. But they've made a big change on offense. Bruce Arians is out. Todd Haley, kind of strange as a head coach, but he's got a great rep as an offensive mind, and he's going to make things more vertical. This team's going to open things up on offense. They've got the speed to do it. I think it's going to be fun to watch the transition. They had a very good running game last year, but they kept on bogging down in short yardage situations and at the goal line. They couldn't finish off drives, so they end up 21st in the league in scoring, despite averaging 4.5 yards a carry. You're not supposed to do that. And no Rashard Mendenhall. So Haley's got his work cut out for him. One other thing to bear in mind is that Haley, when he was head coaching last year in Kansas City, basically went into the preseason with no game plan at all. He was strictly evaluating talent, and the Chiefs were a tremendous fade in the preseason last year. Going to be very interesting to get information out of Pittsburgh to see if there's a change in that approach, or if he uses that same approach here with the Steelers. And they do have some personnel to move around and look at because of the Mendenhall injury and, the contract situation at wide receiver. So I would not be surprised if we see some similarities out of the Steelers to what we saw, at least in preseason, out of Kansas City last year. But one would assume that when the regular season gun goes off with the pieces he's got on offense, you're going to see Ben Roethlisberger having a big year in the pocket, way more in the pocket under Haley than he's been in the past. And let's finish this off with the Raiders, who, Jeff, what do you think of the hire of Dennis Allen? I'm not a guy who's big on retreads, but man, this guy's got very little experience as even a coordinator, and forget about head coach, he's never been one.
Yeah, Reggie McKenzie, after Al Davis passed away last year, I think Reggie McKenzie wants to stabilize the coaching situation in the Raiders. He was recommended Dennis Allen, and I think he was the only guy that he interviewed. But since 1995, the Raiders have had 10 head coaches, and I think finally, after Al Davis's passing, they're going to try to get a coaching staff, keep it there for a while, and stick with it. But Dennis Allen, he's known as a disciplinarian, so maybe he'll be the first Raiders coach to finally have them cut down on their penalties. It hasn't worked with anybody else before. That might have been one reason why they picked him. Also, they have a new offense coordinator, Greg Knapp, whose teams he likes to run. Last year with the Texans, they were second in the league in rushing. They have a new defense coordinator in Jason Tarver. He's with the 49ers for 10 seasons. Last year was with Stanford. So I think what they're trying to do here, I don't think they expect much this year, but I think what Reggie McKenzie's trying to do, the new GM, is trying to just get some coaches in there, keep them for a few years, and then build something there, in Oakland. So, but I think overall, I think it's a good start. And I look for them to win maybe 7 games if they're lucky. But the future is a little bit brighter there in the next couple of years because finally we might get some stabilization there, Dave.
I would agree with that. That they've really got to, they've been mediocre for so long. They do need to get a new mindset in there. All right, let's look at a game. The Rams are playing the Colts. These two teams, of course, this is not a great matchup from based on last year. 2-14 versus 2-14. Well, something's got to give, right? The Colts. Here's the bad news: we would have all known what to do with this game last year at this time because the Colts never cared at all about the preseason, particularly Week 1. 5 straight losses against the spread the last 5 years in Week 1 of the preseason. But Chuck Pagano's the head man now. You've got to think there's going to be a change in philosophy. Meanwhile, you got Jeff Fisher taking over in St. Louis. And now here's something interesting. I don't know if it has any bearing on the preseason. We'll see. I think maybe it does. Jeff Fisher's already talking about, hey, we're as capable of turning things around and being a championship football team right now as anybody else. He thinks the personnel's good there. And it might just be coach speak. That, to me, sounds like a guy who wants to get out there and get right at it and establish something positive. My first impulse here is to take a look at the Rams in this game. I have a feeling that Fisher might be trying to force the issue a little bit early on. What do you think, Chip?
Dave, this game, I think both head coaches are going after the same thing. Like you said, they were 2-14, both of them last year, and they're going to look to establish a positive step. And you got Andrew Luck going with the Colts, and they're going to try and put him into the system as best they can. Bradford on the other side is coming off a mediocre to weak season last year. The Rams were a total abomination, but like you said, new head coaching, new philosophy. Fisher's there. Same things happen in Indianapolis. This may be one of the better games, actually, with two of the worst franchises because both these sides are going to look to establish something very positive. And I expect a lot of Oliver Luck out there. I expect a lot of Sam Bradford. I think both these head coaches are looking to win this game. Whereas, like you said so many times that, the Colts in the past, we knew they weren't going to put out any effort. I mean, it was a given every year. They were underdogs at home to Kansas City and stuff like that. And now this is going to be very interesting to see these two teams go head to head, particularly because they're both coming off 2-win seasons. They both have new head coaches, and they're going to look to establish something early to get a little positive momentum for the entire outlook for the season. So I think it's a tough call, and this is a wait and see. I want to see who gains the advantage here.
The Colts, I think, had one game last year where they were more than a touchdown underdog at home in the preseason, which you never see. Yeah. Quarterback rotations here, Jeff. Maybe you can get something out of this. You got Luck. Stanton is the veteran in Indianapolis. Chandler Harnish out of Northern Illinois is in camp. The Rams have more veterans. They got Bradford, Kellen Clemens, Tom Bradstatter. Austin Davis, not sure how much action he'll see in this first game. He's the rookie out of Southern Miss. So a little bit of an edge in experience. In fact, it's a considerable edge in experience at the quarterback position, which sometimes can be key in these early preseason games, Jeff.
Yeah, I would go with Bradford and Clemens over right now Luck and Stanton because Luck has never. This is the first game. As far as the Colts go, they have They have a whole new regime there, from the front office all the way down to the coaches and the players. They have a brand new offense, a lot of new players on both sides of the ball. I've been looking for some quotes from Chuck Pagano to see what his philosophy is in these preseason games. We already knew about Jim Caldwell and Tony Dungy, but I'm still waiting to see what Pagano, what he thinks about, his preseason. But you just can't ignore the Colts' record in the preseason in the last several years. They're 4-17 straight up, 6-15 against the spread the last 5 years in exhibition play. And until I hear otherwise, I can't really take the Colts in this game. Jeff Fisher, on the other hand, obviously, I think he's one of the best coaches in the league, has been for a long time. He's 34-30 straight up in preseason, 32-29-3 against the spread. That's pretty good. And I think his personnel is a little bit ahead of the Colts right now. So I would lean toward the St. Louis Rams this game, Dave.
All right, guys. Good stuff. Let's once again recap the specials. And I want to let everybody know what's going on with world champion handicapper Jim Feist. Jim loves these soft numbers that you see in August. Last NFL preseason, 24 wins, 15 losses, 1 tie. That's better than 60%. 10-1 on his top plays a year ago. And you can get Jim's entire NFL preseason, the executive service plays, along with his preseason game of the year for a really great price. $19. Just $19. Sign up now and get an NFL parlay that goes tonight. And the number to call is 1-866-841-1655. That's 1-866-841-1655. Jeff, once again, great year last year in the preseason and already out of the gate 1-0 this year.
Yeah, last year 19-10, 66%, 1-0 this year. You're gonna get all 4 weeks of the preseason plus the rest of August baseball for a grand total of $25. The number to call is LVSS 1-866-575-8916. 1-866-575-8916.
Chip, the Mega Bucks plays are monsters. They're big money games, and the cool thing is you got one going tonight.
Yeah, I do, and we already kicked off the season with a winner. We had the Saints on Sunday night, and we're going to have one almost each and every day, and I'm going to give you 2 weeks of Mega Buck winners. This is my single strongest play. This is what I hang my hat on. This is why we called ourselves the A play, because we give you my Mega Buck play, 2 weeks of Mega Buck winners, not only for NFL preseason action, but Major League Baseball as well, and we're knocking them dead in baseball. And you know, Dave, like we said before, preseason, when you're in the know, you got a great advantage. You know who's coming to play, who's not coming to play. These coaches reveal their game plan, like you said previously, and you know who's out there putting forth effort, who's just feeling out what players are going to make it or get cut. So get on board right now. 2 weeks of action for only $10. Mega Buck winners in Major League Baseball. These are high roller plays for only $10. 866-841-1665. Let me repeat that again. 841-1665. $10 gets you Chip Chirimbes' Mega Bucks for the next 2 weeks in NBA and NFL action. Don't miss out. Jump on board right now.
NBA?
Did I say NBA? You know what? Dave, I'll tell you what it is, Dave. Here I was thinking about that streak in NBA playoff winners, and we hit 11 in a row, and it was on my mind. So, you know, the Mega Bucks are going to win no matter what sport we're dealing with right now. And we'll get you throw into Major League Baseball as a comp for the next 2 weeks. And I'll give you the NBA with it.
You scared the hell out of me. It's like, I mean, I've already hit that. I've hit that age where everything's starting to go by real fast.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's like, here comes Christmas again. NBA, what the hell did I miss?
You know what it is? I'm in mid-season form. I'm already posting NBA winners.
For me, the preseason, you know, I'm a real big numbers cruncher. But you can't do that in the preseason. There are no numbers to crunch in the preseason. It's all based on information, but it is. I've said this for years. I don't think there's a better bet in terms of garnering information and putting it to use for your advantage than the NFL preseason. It's on select games. You can't play every game. But when that good information comes along, I think you've got a huge edge, and there's no way the odds makers can really compensate for it. We were talking about the Colts. That was the perfect example. They tried game after game, year after year to try and adjust the number to get people off betting against the Colts. Didn't matter. They just walked up to the window and did it every week, and they kept on getting the money. Well, there's going to be some good stuff like that again this year in the preseason, and I've got a 3-0 guarantee. 3 big games for $20. You got to win them all. Well, you get all the rest of my action plays for the NFL preseason free of charge, including the big game, my NFL preseason game of the year. The cost is only $20, so make sure and take advantage of this right now. 1-866-896-1629. That's 1-866-896-1629. That is going to do it for this edition of Proline. For Jim Feist, Chip Chirimbes, Jeff Saad, I'm Dave Cokin. We thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out the college football edition of Proline as well. See you later.